Hello, hero. It's Lucy Lanhorn. How you doing, my chucky egg? Okay, slightly different setup in that Fox and Crow both wanted to be with us today. These are responsibly sourced, blessed, etc. If you want me to do a separate video about how I use roadkill and stuff, I'm happy to do so, but let's just say that there is nothing non-vegan going on this table. We are doing the Psychic Lucky Dip, the esoteric tombola, continuing through the alphabet, this time with the letter D. If you'd like to see any of the previous letters readings, there is a playlist on my main channel. But basically we'll be picking out a word beginning with D from this envelope of words, and then doing a 5-card Marseille reading with this Viéville deck that I've got. Sorry about the pronunciation there. And yeah, we'll just see what happens. I don't know what's going to come up. You don't know what's going to come up. Let's have some fun, right? Crystals that wanted to join us today. As usual, we have Chonky Boy, the original crystal on my channel, the OG. Then we've also got some amethyst, some blue calcite, a tiny bit of more amethyst, a lapis, artificially coloured purple agate, and a labradorite or labradorite if you like big dogs. The immediate thing that I see from all of these together is that we're talking about dreams and dreaming. So perhaps some of you have had very vivid dreams, very protective dreams. I know that recently my dreams have been absolutely on fire because I'm writing them down more. But also they've been very protective for me. So I'll dream about somebody who doesn't have my best intentions at heart, and then I know not to pick up when they call me, and lo and behold, it turns out they were calling me to cause some shenanigans. Other examples, I did dream recently about a relative falling ill, and then they did, but because I had the dream, we were kind of prepped to sweep in and help them out. Do listen to your dreams, guys, because there's all kinds of things. I know that it's some crazy stuff in there as well. Yes, you will have... I have to get 10 hamburgers into that football trophy before the crocodile eats my sister. But somewhere in all of that crazy mind garbage, there will be stuff that is actually really insightful and maybe just sort of giving you a heads up for the day or for the coming week or the coming months. I've certainly had dreams, particularly with someone I'm very mentally connected with, telling me what work placements they're going on internationally and all sorts of weird stuff. So that's not just a psychic thing or a professional psychic thing. I kind of dislike that term, but hey ho. It is just a general dream thing, you know. You get some stuff that's about yourself, some stuff that you can analyse in a kind of Jungian fashion where you're looking at your own thoughts on yourself and your own shadow, and then you will get some stuff that's just a heads up about life. And I feel that with your crystal selection being as it is today, for many of you, your dreams are just a heads up. But that doesn't mean you have to interpret them literally, but it means that some of the themes, some of the people, etc. are going to be very important to what's happening going forward. We'll shuffle this riffle style 3 times, and then we're going to get our 3 piles together. While I'm doing this, I can tell you that there is a link to my Etsy shop down below. If you want to book a reading that's more private, more specific, on a certain topic in a very extended way, and where you can ask me questions, give feedback, etc. I highly recommend that if you are picking up stuff from what I'm saying in these ones, but you've got a bit of a predicament or something going on in your life that needs more details. Please check that out if so. If not, and you'd like to leave me a donation, that's always welcome, and there's a thing down below for that as well. Now how this works is we'll pick your cards out, then we'll pick your random word, because your random word corresponds to your cards whichever way around we do it, to be quite frank. We will also do like a channeled section for each of these piles, so that those of you who aren't very confident in picking piles at the moment can kind of listen to the messages. If you feel semi-drawn to say pile 1, you can listen to me ramble about pile 1 and see whether anything jives with you, and then that might be your pile, it might not, but it's a good way of like picking if you're new to me, new to the channel, or you're new to picking cards in general, and or receiving messages. The channeled stuff is without use of cards, and then obviously the reading will be with reference to whatever we see in the Marseille and or your keyword. If you want to put a keyword down in the comments section for further letters, I haven't filmed anything from E onwards yet, so the rest of the alphabet is open to you, my dude. The only thing I ask is that you don't put any place names or names of people, just because if we get a little bit too specific, we either jump into ethically risky territory with naming people and sort of focusing everyone's attention on them, or we get into the territory where we're talking about countries in terms of possible global conflicts and you know, financial things tied to different countries, and I don't want to get banned, quite frankly. So let's keep it really broad and open. But aside from that, like, you can get as specific as you want with you know, silly character names that aren't real human names, or I don't know, games, music, whatever. Like, you think of any phrase that you would like. It's absolutely up to you. It doesn't have to be wide open so that everyone will receive a message, because often messages come through with specific reference to a word anyway. If I have picked your keyword that you've suggested, you'll see a heart by your comment below. If I haven't, usually I'll explain why, so expect to reply to your comment as well and check up on that. And I can't think of anything to say, so without further ado, let's go into the channel info pile 1 and put these guys to the side, and we'll see what your keyword is. Pile 1. I got all the way through that and I didn't even think about the fact that D is also for dream, as well as this crystal stuff, so you may be my dreamers in that sense, or in a more acute fashion. You may be having particularly vivid dreams, because I've just noticed that with you. Anywho, right, let's get into it, shall we? Okay, this ring is from my friend Jean. She wants to say hi. She was an artist and cat lover, so either of those things may apply if you're watching this pile. You also may be a Twin Peaks fan, because I'm noticing my other ring. Let's pull my sleeve down a bit, because Chonky Boy, the wonderful amethyst, is a great prop for my arm when I'm at a distance, but by heck does he point on in there. That may be something, actually. Maybe have been pinched or prodded or hit with something sharp very recently. That might be your sign, I don't know. But I said it out loud, so usually in this section it means it's part of the channel in some way. Okay, let's... graffiti, street art. Something coming through about street art. That would explain why Jeannie Weenie wants to join in with you specifically, because she loves that kind of stuff. If you're not a graffiti artist yourself, or an artist of some kind, I wouldn't be surprised if the graffiti near you has had some kind of influence on your creative process, particularly in terms of palette. Maybe you guys are like doing something fashiony and it would be good to dress in colours to do with the graffiti near you. Or I don't know, I'm getting something to do with palette and colours. I have a diary where I print off little photos in black and white, and I also use colour in that day's spread, and I'm seeing a page where I did a photo of some graffiti and then I included the colour palette of it next to it, so that seems to ping out strongly with whatever's going on with you. Some of you have got a mother figure who's ill, possibly a grandma, but I think probably mother, and you've been caring for them. The message is that you're doing very well with that, even though it's been really stressful. And keep at it, but also, like, they may not be able to thank you, but they are grateful for it, right? So I don't know whether that's that they can't communicate in a literal sense for those of you where illness is more serious, and I do apologise if that's you, and I send you lots of love. But for some of you, I think it's just a communication issue with that person, where they're not great at saying thank you to you specifically, or just saying thank you in general. So this is like, I'm giving you this message as their way of saying thank you, because they wouldn't do it themselves. And it's not a slight against you or a judgment of the effort that you've been putting in helping them out and caring for them. You are being congratulated on how well you've done with all that. But I don't think that they're going to be the ones to tell you that you've done well. And because I'm reading for a broad audience, I can't really speak to their recovery. Because for some of you it's a great outlook, and for some of you it's not so great, and I'm not a health professional, nor do I ever pretend to be one. But what I will say is that they have huge amounts of gratitude for the time you spent making sure that they're taken care of. Or caring for them directly, I'm hearing as well. It will be remembered. I don't know whether that's by them or by others or what, but it will. Alright, let's switch hands because that was a bit rough. Let me just... Sorry, I'm just making sure none of the other piles scatter to the floor as they did when we did the letter C. Right. Star Wars ring again. If you're new to this channel, may the force be with you. I'm noticing it go a bit glowy. If you click on the A is for reading and you want a glow in the dark Ahsoka ring, that is where to find it. They do other colours, but you know, Ahsoka gang. Okay, what else am I getting? Some of you play piano. Well, it's beautiful. But you play it for yourself, and it would be good to play it for somebody who needs you at the moment. Don't know whether that links to the mother thing, or whether it's like another loved one, or just a friend, or someone you know. But there's a thing of you always play piano for yourself, and it's time to play it for others now. Or for one specific person, because they'd find it really touching for you to play it for them. There's a very sweet energy with that. There's like a weird intimacy with it. It's like a thing of, if you've words. Ironically, I was about to say, if you've been finding self-expression hard to a specific person, like you can't find the words with them, play them some music, as in you playing it, or if you don't play piano, play them a piece of music that tells them how you feel. It doesn't have to be that you like do the embarrassing thing of sitting them down and making them put your headphones on. It could just be you have that on in the background when they're there, and they will absorb that message, is what I'm being told. Emerald City. Some of you are, I don't know what colour it's going to appear on my awful camera, but sorry, thank you camera for all that you do. That was very disrespectful. I am wearing an emerald green top. In this light, to me, it looks blue. It may look another colour entirely on camera. Who knows? But I'm getting the word emerald as well. So maybe some of you are working with the stone. But I also got Emerald City, so there's like a Wizard of Oz connection somewhere with some of you. Maybe it's been on TV today, or there's just something to remind you of Wizard of Oz, I don't know. Some of you are theatre kids and you're putting on the Wiz. Good luck. Yeah, that's all I'm getting, Emerald City. And I'm seeing the glitter on the things on the table as well. So I am getting a bit of a bit of a jazz hands vibe, as my friend would say. Again, I don't know whether this is connected to the mother message. But there's a thing about tubes and cables and stuff. Now, I know I've told some people on here to untangle your cables before. This is not that, but it is still tangled cables. This time, and this might be a memory, but there's a thing of like cables coming out of you and being all tangled. Like some of you were on, some of you had like feeding tubes or oxygen at one point, or you were on a drip for a long time, or something about like cables coming off you or cables all around you. And I'm hearing beeping like you get on an oxygen monitor. And it was really stressful. The tangledness of it sticks out to you as being stressful and horrible. And I'm getting a message with that of that's done now. Like it's over now. Like you can be, if you're stressed in the present, know that the event is in the past, if that makes sense. Like it's horrible, but it's not going to be, the future is not as tangled in that sense of wires coming out of everything and whatever. It's actually quite a hard message to relay because I've had quite a few surgeries and things, but yeah, I definitely think if you are also disabled or you've had a lot of like injuries or health crises or whatever, this might be your pile, because I'm actually getting very vivid memories of waking up in intensive care. That's another story entirely. But yeah, there's something to do with the tangle of cables and monitors and things, and it's done now. It's not gonna. For those of you who are worried about being in that situation again imminently, it's not the case. We are untangling the tangledness of that. Okay. I'm seeing the postage stamp on here and it says India, so some of you are in India or going, in which case happy travels. It looks beautiful. I wish I could go. There's also the date that I'm noticing on the envelope, which is the 25th of March 2006, so 25th of March might resonate, or the year 2006 may jive with one of the messages I've given so far. Some of you need to make sure you've put your card back in your wallet once you've paid for something. That's not related to any of the travel stuff. It's not a message about being away and something happening. This is like now. Your wallet's in your bag, but you need to check that your card is in your wallet, alright? Or your purse, or whatever. And when I say bag, I mean purse if you're American. Robotics. You're studying robotics, or you like robots, or you've been watching Love, Death and Robots or something adjacent recently, and that's your confirmation. But there's something to do with robotics, engineering, but specifically like not so much AI, but like the structure of robotics, like how things move in that mechanistic way. I don't really have enough scientific language to tell you what that is, but it's that area of things is significant. I'm seeing a letter J being written down somewhere as well. I'm actually seeing it in the glitter on this table, but then I'm seeing a handwriting, a J, but it's like at the beginning of a word, so there might be a J name that's to do with something I've already said, or a J name you're hoping to hear about, or you might be a J name, hi, or something like that, but there's definitely like this thing. It could actually be, there's a symbol like that in archangelic script as well, isn't there, that sort of does that. So for some of my magic users, that's, whatever the equivalency of that is something to look up, or maybe you've got it like I have, you've got tattoos of sigils and things, and there's that shape. But it's like a J without the spoke across the top. J without a hat on, you know? Maybe there is a literal J person who has not been wearing their hat. I don't know. I'm seeing paint being splattered on things. Specifically white paint, but there's like paint on surfaces and then someone with a paint in their hair, so it may be that you're redecorating or painting in some way, and making a mess in a good, healthy, creative, juicy way, but making a great deal of mess by the looks of it. If you are decorating, I would put sheets down beforehand, because this is the implication is that paint is going to splatter everywhere. What else? No stars. Some of you were out stargazing and it was too cloudy for it. Or there's like a book of something with no stars. Isn't there a book called Full Dark No Stars or something like that? Anyway, that's significant somewhere. But yeah, you're expecting stars and there weren't. This could even be an event. Like, you expected celebrities and there were no stars. But I'm being told you should be grateful anyway, right? because you still got something out of it, and you'll know what that was. So if you did go out to stargaze, there's something else synchronistic ended up happening or something. Or if you did go to a party and there were no stars, maybe you met someone else lovely there, or just had a great time, or the food was great or something. But no stars is okay, is what I'm being told. Like, just be grateful. Alright? I'm seeing maps, but they're like being drawn. So, excuse me while I move. Some of you have little children who have been drawing maps, or you're reading like fantasy books with maps in, or something about a map, but it's not of a real place. So maybe you're drawing one or something, or there's like a... For anybody who watched my gamer and D&D pile last time round, maybe you're creating a map within a specific world-building universe or something. I don't know. But there's a map, and it's not in relation to a place that is, you know, real. Might even be a game map or something. Yeah, that could be it. But it's more... It looks older to me, but that's possibly because I'm not much of a gamer. So it would present as like a map in a book or on a notebook. Pele, for some of you. I'm not massively up on my Hawaiian stuff to tell you more of a significance than she is a volcano goddess, and that people have a very complex and fulfilling relationship with her effect on the land and fertility and all that kind of stuff. She's very fascinating. There's a beautiful Susan Seddon-Boulay painting of her as well that was basically how I discovered that artist. So for some of you, Pele is resonating. For some of you, it's the Boulay reference. And I don't know, I was drawn with the way to the way she uses mixed media. So if you are in my artist clan, again with the Genie Weenie ring, it may be that mixed media is the next step forward for you, and that she's a good person to look at in terms of the way that she would layer things and incorporate different materials into her work. I seem to read for a lot of artists. I don't know whether it's... I mean, I am one. Maybe it's that. I say that in inverted commas. That's something. I see what you're doing now. Right. So I was going to say I'm an artist in inverted commas because I don't really practice it anymore, but I did an art degree, right? Some of you out there also are talented artists who don't call yourself artists. And it's time for a rebrand. Or at least for you to privately think of yourself as being an artist or capable of being an artist, right? Because there's skill there that you're not using for whatever reason, and I feel like there's a root of self-consciousness as to why you're not expressing yourself in that particular way. It doesn't have to be painting and drawing, by the way. This could be any artistic discipline, but there's like a hesitancy to call yourself the thing that you are, or the thing that, like, is one of the things you are, you know, because all of us are many things. It doesn't have to be that in calling yourself an artist, that is your entire identity. I think that that's specifically coming out, because that was one of my drawbacks with it. I was like, if I say I'm an artist, everyone will think that's the only thing I do and that I'm not pursuing other stuff. It's a very strange thing, I don't know. Down in the comments if you want to talk about any of that, by the way, because I know it's rough sometimes when you have those kinds of skills and you don't really know to what extent you should market them, market yourself, put them out there, allow that aspect of you to swallow your time when you're also interested in other things. So hit me up if you want to talk about that, or indeed get a reading if you want to talk about that. But I'm free to just chat in the comments. What else? I'm seeing a key, but it's like a digital key. So I don't know whether it's like one of the electronic car lock things or a room key or something. All right, what about that? I'm getting the phrase "the lock is missing." So has somebody changed the locks, or there's something going on with the lock mechanism that means the electronic key won't work? This could equally be a coding thing, and this is just the way that I will understand and relay it. So if there's like a component missing and you have an original key, it might not be the thing that fits now. Yeah, there's something about that. Some of you are wearing a beret or have recently purchased a beret. Lovely, good for you. That's it, that's the message for that. You go, be your bad self. Wear that beret. I'm seeing cardboard boxes stacked, so some of you are moving or collecting your belongings if you've been fired or made redundant or something like that. That's rough if that's the case. I'm send love, and I hope that you find something else. But for some of you, it is just moving house or getting rid of some stuff, but there's something involving boxing and assembling the boxes from scratch. Practical thing from me and not from spirit, but I am being pulled to tell you that you can buy flat pack cardboard boxes and then unfold them at home if you're not somebody who can get boxes from an establishment near you, like if there's no bars or cafes or whatever, that you can nick a few cardboard boxes from. Or, by nick, I mean ask them nicely. But you know what I mean, if there's nothing like that available, you can actually order flat boxes for delivery. That might be the most boring message I've ever relayed. Anything else? Drip drop. Okay, for some people that's a nod to the drip drop diet, which is hilarious and wonderful. If you don't already know what that is, I'm not going to link it to freak everybody out. But if you do know what it is, you are my people. But there's something to do with drip drop, so maybe... I mean, the pipes bursting last time in, the readings for C. If you got that pile, that might say that this is your pile now. Dripping taps, etc. But there's something to do with drip drop. Maybe you're drip feeding some information. Or, yeah, something like that, I don't know. My head's getting itchy, so maybe something's been dripping on your head. I don't know. Alright, that's all the confirmation you need, pile 1. If you don't feel this is your pile after all of that, then please feel free to pick another. But if it is you, then stick with me, because we're about to pull your cards. Cards for pile 1, please. D is 4. Pile 1, D is 4. Oh, that's interesting. That came up last week. So again, you may be somebody who watched the C is 4 reading. Whoa, alright. Damn. Okay. Well, that's a very clear theme already. My readers out there, you will know. That wanted to come out, and so did you. Okay. Feel like I already know which pick we're going to get, but let's grab your keyword. I cannot see what I'm picking out. Pick one out and it falls right back in. There we go. Dominance is your word. I'm going to pause and collect myself and then think about what I'm going to say with this. You won't even feel the cut. Pile 1, D is for dominance. The first thing to say is that this is a love reading. So if you weren't coming here for one of those, this may not be your pile. You could probably listen to what I'm saying and apply it to friendships and family relations and all that, but I do feel actually this is much more romantic in nature. So you do you. You might still find some stuff that fits, but if you're not here specifically about a relationship or a connection, then you might be better with one of the other piles. Okay, firstly, let's talk about this hanging over the energy of the entire reading. This came up in one of the Seers 4 readings, and it's an energy of singleness, of being okay on your own, in a genuine way, not in the kind of doth protest too much, strong, independent, I'm fine without you way, but in a sense of having had the choice to be with somebody or not be with somebody, and having taken the road where you be with yourself, and you choose your own goals, values, etc. to be more prominent, and to focus on those things exclusively, and to kind of come back to relationships maybe, or even just to forego relationships altogether, because for some of you it's not been worth the effort, right? And I feel you on that. I think there are some people watching for whom getting into a connection with anybody else would mean that they have to bid really fucking high to get a monopoly on your attention, your time, your focus. And I don't mean that in an egotistical or mean sense. It doesn't have to be that you're too Queen of Swords over here. It doesn't have to be that you're stony-faced, that you're shutting people out, etc. You may get accusations of that from people who are a bit butthurt that you won't go out with them. But I don't feel that you've been unreasonable. I think it's just that you've taken time to make sure that you are your priority, in order that if you did give to anybody else, you would be doing so on equal ground. I maybe even get the sense for some of you that before, your relationships have been overgiving, and where you've given more than they have, and you've only kind of realised it part way in, and then the relationship has failed as a result. Again, I've been in your shoes. It's that thing of giving benefits and privileges that you would give in perhaps a later stage of a relationship to somebody who is brand new and fresh and doesn't really give much in return, has possibly given you an attitude of, well, if you don't want me to be single, you're going to have to present me with something fucking better than you have done. I'm all for, I love Power One already. I'm very much of that mindset, and I haven't been in that sphere for a while for very similar reasons. But I mean, if this isn't you, it's certainly somebody that we're talking about in this connection. But for most of you, I feel this is you, where it's not that you're saying no to relationships. You might even be looking, you might even be dating, but you're certainly in a space of like, if you're going to come at me, come correct. If you're going to offer me something, make sure that it's equal to what I could offer you. Should is an interesting Freudian slip there. So there's almost a feeling of like what you're entitled to with another person, what they should be doing, right? Anyway, let's get into the rest of it. What's happened in the recent past is that this energy, for whichever one of you it's about, has been disrupted by a kind of working together energy. Possibly a third party thing, but I don't really like reading Three of Cups just as third party. I think there's more to it. And I certainly don't see another presence in this reading. So if that hits, it's going to be like one or two people at most. But I think there's definitely been, it's more like a Three of Pentacles type vibe, actually. It's more collaborative. It's more, hey, do you want to do this? And maybe we can work together, right? And emotionally, and for the first time perhaps with this particular person, or certainly it's the first time that they've wanted to join forces in an explicit way. I don't mean explicit in the intimate sense, I mean it's just that they've made that clear, that they want to work with you, and that you are used to working alone, and they want to kind of come in and interrupt that. Now, this could be a friendship. It could be that they haven't even told you they have feelings. I think more than likely they have because of the remaining cards. But it could be that something is kind of growing from a place that you didn't expect it to grow. And it's very clearly a thing that you're working together, which is an interesting start to a reading where dominance is the key word. I think you already sense what I'm going to be telling you right now. So in the present, we have the Nine of Cups. This can mean a great deal of things. It can point to addictions. It can point to luxuries overindulged in. perhaps an excess of alcohol, which may have led to some of your present circumstances or opened things up where you may not have opened them up otherwise, etc. But the other meaning of the Nine of Cups is a kind of wish fulfilled, something that you did want and hope for being granted. And I do suspect that in this relationship or friendship or whatever it is, there is a hint of something that you used to want before you got into this very single mindset, kind of peeking its head above the parapet to see what you're doing, and you're having none of it. There's also somebody looking into this connection, and this could be you looking into it literally through this reading, or it could be the other person having a bit of a spy and a bit of a think over what's happened. But whoever they are, they're kind of a bit reticent to fully express their emotions at the minute. They have their emotions ready, but they're seeing where you've come from or where the single person has come from. Because this is the single person, this is the person who's up for not being single, right? Or more up for it, or more pushing the connection. And they're very much like, I have this cup, this emotional offering to make. I have this thing where we could have this Nine of Cups scenario where we're all happy and life is an indulgent and fulfilling experience. However, I'm going to hold back from it because there's a vibe here. There's a battle for dominance. That's why the word dominance has come up. I did, when I saw the cups and saw dominance, I wondered whether it might be a sex reading, because we have had one of those in the alphabet videos before, but actually I feel this is more love-based, this is more emotional. We're talking about whether or not someone is prepared to have feelings and or express them here. And I do think that there is a party here who is used to prioritising themselves, and a party who would be a lot more expressive were it not the self-prioritising party is a bit shut off, a bit shut down, a bit defensive even. But there is this thing of like, you could have everything you want, or they could have everything they want, if they drop the guard a bit and there was a bit more expression from that end. Now, the other party, this party, whoever they are, I'm seeing as this figure at the base. So it's kind of like the as above and so below of this reading, the overarching theme and the undercurrent, unseen stuff of it is both in Queen of Swords energy, any gender. This is a person who perhaps has had to be self-reliant, certainly emotionally discerning, certainly somebody who's learnt about boundaries the hard way and had to put up verbal defences of how they live their life to other people. If this is like a major relationship, there may even be a thing where whoever this Queen of Swords person is, they've been asked by friends, relatives, whoever in their life, what their romantic status is, and they've had to come back with an answer which has come out a little more defensive than intended. You know, whilst it is none of their business, the snapping back that it's none of their business and maybe being a tiny bit vitriolic or passive-aggressive is because this person is still on guard. This person expects the highest, and that's great, and I encourage all of you, particularly in this day and age, to have the highest possible expectations for a partner that you can, and to defend those boundaries like there's no tomorrow. But there is like an in extremis version of this. There is this Queen of Swords thing where it's not just about somebody stepping up to your level and therefore making possible connections a little easier, a little less dangerous, all that sort of good protective stuff. It's slipped into not being open to any connections at all, really, and not wanting to let anybody in, particularly in the way of verbally expressing yourself. Now, because there is Pentacles with this Queen of Swords, and because these are both, I think, signifiers for the same person, it's also possible that there's an energy of financial sort of raising bar or having a bar to be met. So it could be that this person who's wanting to make an offer and wanting to collaborate and wanting to be a dream come true for the other person is not what this Queen of Swords person's idea of financially secure is, or doesn't meet the needs of how they want to be treated, in the sense of like things being a bit bougie, being treated to some luxuries here and there, all of that stuff. And whilst from experience I would never encourage anybody to enter a relationship where they're going to, you know, eventually leave it with a ton of debt and that person is bad with money and low effort with dates and things like that. I do think this person has gone into the other end of that, where it's like it's starting to matter too much what somebody's income is, or what their status is, or what their reputation and all these other coins type things are. And as a result, this person is holding back their emotions, kind of itching to give something forward, maybe even itching towards sexuality, because there's the finger sort of pointing to the groinal area here as well. So it's like, you could have this and you could also have this, but I'm scared of you. And meanwhile, this person quite significantly is looking in entirely the opposite direction, not just from the other person, but from the relationship, even from their own singleness. It's like there's almost a sense of like, oh, I can't think about whether or not I'm single. Relationships as a subject don't matter. But I hate to break it to you, if this is you, you've gotten this far into a tarot reading which is about a relationship. So on some level, it does matter to you. It does. There is some part of you that agrees with this Nine of Cups and goes, yeah, I do want to be loved, actually. I do want this. It's just that I don't think I can fit it in. And I don't think that anybody's stepping up to like what you see as your level. If that's you, it might be the other person. Okay, advice for which is which, right, in this battle for dominance. Because it's important to note that I don't think the dominant party in this person over here, is actually the person who should be in charge, if anyone should be. You know, I don't like the word should, but in terms of leading this relationship, if we imagine it like dance partners and one person is leading and the other person is following, but they're both dancing equally, I would say, from, you know, experience as a reader and or life experience, that the person leading a dynamic should be the person who is willing to express their emotional truth and willing to be vulnerable and to open dialogue of communication and sort of talk about trust and things like that, and talk about what it is that you each want. And at the moment, the person showing up in that energy is this guy, any gender again, but this King of Cups that is thinking about all this stuff a lot more than the other person lets themselves. What is actually happening, instead of this King of Cups being in the lead, is that the Queen of Swords is, I mean, she's the queen, she's ruling, right, but she's also looking the other way. And I do feel with the Swords energy sort of being more martial and conflict heavy than the Cups energy, that she represents the person currently in the dominant position, if you like. And that may transfer sexually, it may not, but we're talking about dominance in terms of who is leading the connection. At the moment, it is someone who is very blocked off, who wants to protect their own, but whose level of protection has become defensive. And really what I kind of want to see happen in this reading is that she travels over here, acknowledges the nature of her own singleness and how beneficial it's been, but also her standing now as a queen and the fact that she has achieved the things that she wanted to achieve by being single, and that she begins from that vantage point to look towards the idea of relationship and collaboration and the fact that it could make her dreams come true. Because then, even if we don't have these people making direct eye contact and considering each other, we at least have them looking together to the same kind of future. That doesn't mean that you will be together, particularly when one of you is in this defensive space. I think it may take a little time to work out of that. But certainly it would be good for whoever this is to consider that this isn't so bad, and that actually this is something that originally was wanted, and that the defence against it is almost an attempt to protect it in its purity, right? We don't say, I'm not having a relationship with you, unless on some level we have an idea of what the ideal relationship would be like, and we would rather have that, or we have an idea that we don't want any relationship at all if we're, asexual or aromantic, and that is also the thing that's put on a pedestal. There is some wish or dream or vision of either the perfect relationship and the perfect partner, or a perfect state of partnerlessness, which is being denied by this person if they're over here. Whereas if they're here and they're looking to it and they're at least floating the idea around in their mind, considering the other person, then we get them suddenly being able to see through these cups and into these ones and go, oh, I get now what it is that I want. Cool. I can work towards that. Now, with the single energy being the sort of, I call it the rainbow over the reading, but the sort of, the archway over all of this, because if I was reading on a bigger table, this would be up here. I do think that this dynamic is likely to continue. I think this person is likely to remain single within the near future. But if you are this person, there's consideration needed for these kinds of issues. And if actually you're this person, and you're holding the cup and kind of waiting to make an offer, just know that there is a part of this other party which, if it could see your cup, might want to rethink these things. This is going on in the subconscious somewhere. This is a wish that they also had. This is a vision of their life that they also had. And this is why they wanted to protect it in such a kind of steadfast way, and why they only expect the best, because that dream is so important to them that they want the absolute best manifestation of it to be the one that occurs. Yeah? So be aware of their concerns with status, be aware of their slowness to trust you, but by all means express your emotional truth to them in, microdoses and with a lot of friendship, because we've got this friendly card, maybe even over a few drinks, because this is here. And just trust that, by sort of nudging forward little by little, you will come to some kind of clarity, because that's what swords are about. They're about discernment and making things clear in the end. This person will absolutely tell you where they stand. It just might be that it takes a little bit of time for you to, have their walls come down enough for you to know either way, right? So if you'd like a more in-depth reading from me or something more personalised, link is down below. As is a donation link if you enjoyed this reading. Or if you enjoyed it but you don't want to put any money in that direction, I completely understand. At times it's hard. You could instead subscribe, ding the dong, and or share this alphabet journey we're having with your friends. See which pile they pick. It probably won't be the same as yours, and it's a fun game to see what comes up for them as well. If you'd like to add any words to the esoteric tombola, as I said before, you can comment them down below. And if not, I will see you in the next reading, or I just hope you have a lovely day. Bye. Pile 2, hail and welcome. Specifically hail, this might be a pile who says hail, if you follow me. Might not be, it's fine if that's not your bag, but I just get a vibe. What else have we got for pile 2? My clothing just shedded some lint or something, so there's, aside from me needing new clothes, maybe you do, there's something that you're I don't want to say letting go of, because it's not a letting go in a consensual, transitional fashion. And that is kind of a tarot reading cliche anyway, isn't it, at this point? No, this is specifically shedding. This is like, it's dropping off you whether or not you want it to. So this could be shedding skin if you're working with snake energy and transformation and all of that. But I get more that it's like shedding lint or shedding dust, or something is like falling off you because you're not paying attention. So there's something... Yeah, be careful about stuff that you might be kind of letting go of when you don't know that you are. Or, I mean, if you had Power 1, there was something in the channels there about losing objects. But, yeah, there's something falling off, and I'm not sure that you're, like, aware that it is. So this is your nod. If you get a sense of what I'm talking about, that's your message. It may even just be that you need to literally take, like, a lint roller to your clothes, or you're shedding pet fur, or the top that you've got has been shedding and you need to get rid of it. What do people call tops in other countries? Shirts, jerseys, you know what I mean, like the bit you wear on your torso. Top's like I feel like it's a really British way of saying that, but maybe not, I don't know. Okay. There's a thing of, how do I explain this? I'm looking at these horns that you can see on camera. I'm looking at a specific section of them, and it's like gleaming, it's like glistening. It's beautiful texture. It's really shiny, but actually I think that the area of shine in it is because of damage. It's because that bit of horn has eroded away, because I've carried these round since I was probably about, I don't know, at least early 20s. I'm not going to like talk about how long that is, but a part of me feels like I might have had them since I was about 18, but no, I think it's later than that. Anyway, the point is, there is something gleaming, glistening, beautiful, iridescent, but it is because of a lack or a damage, or it's almost like an extension of the idea of all that glitters isn't gold, right? But it's sort of, it's more performative than that. It's like, there is something that is striking you at the moment as particularly beautiful, but it might actually be a red flag. Does that make sense? So this could be a quality within a person that's like, oh wow, and they do such and such, or they are such and such, but it's coming from a place where it's kind of, the reasons for doing it are because there's a bit of a hole in them somewhere, or a bit of a thing to fill. And I don't mean that in a nasty way, because we all do things for different reasons. We all have different hobbies and interests and stuff like that with different motivations, and that's what makes the world go round. But there's something that you're seeing, that's what it is. There's some quality that you're glamorising that actually comes from quite a damaged place. That's what I wanted to get at, thank you. Sorry, it took me a while there, didn't it? Maybe things are taking you a while, maybe you're slowing down things, and that's for the better, I reckon. Okay, what else have we got? I'm getting the word metropolis as well, so some of you are Superman fans, and others are just in a very built-up area, or want to visit somewhere that is one of the famous like metropolis type areas, you know, or maybe even a filming location actually. Some of you want to go travel somewhere that was in a superhero movie or something like that. I'm also getting like Fritz Lang's Metropolis, and there's a wonderful picture that's going round at the moment that's sort of viral from the Berlin Museum of Cinema or something like that, that's of the set from Fritz Lang's Metropolis. So that might be a thing that pings off for you as like, oh, that links to this thing, or oh yeah, that's my favourite movie, or whatever. But I'm seeing that, and I'm also seeing big cities and metropolis in general, so there we are. What else, guys? Transparency. There's something about transparency here. needing to be open with someone and completely clear about intention. Or maybe you're seeking transparency from another person, but I mean absolute transparency where it's as clear as glass. Like, that can be a very brutal thing to receive from somebody in the end. If you're asking somebody else to be transparent, make sure that you want to hear their truth in its entirety, okay? Make sure that you're prepared for any eventuality of how that's going to go. Because from what I'm sort of seeing in my mind, there is transparency, but it's almost like the underneath is completely naked, and it might be difficult to really take it in if you wanted a different outcome. Or similarly, if you're being transparent with somebody else, excuse me, I have an incredibly squeaky chair that sounds rude. If you're wanting to be transparent with somebody else, make sure that the way you do that isn't something they then can't cope with. Because we all say we want to know, but then when we do know, sometimes we get freaked out, yeah? Or sometimes we wish we didn't know, or whatever. That's actually an extended message related to this reading. If you are someone who's come for a specific answer on a topic, and you actually are now thinking, do I want to know either way? Maybe click off this. I know I'm going to lose people when I say that, and I don't want to have fewer numbers on my channel or whatever, but only ask a tarot reader if you really want to know, is what I'm getting, yeah? I've lost a few people just on that, I can feel it. But if you definitely do want to know, and you're ready for all eventualities, congratulations, you're as tough as nails, and you can continue with this reading, which might well have a wonderful outcome anyway. Who knows? Yeah, that's... Okay, we're done with the transparencies. I'm seeing silver in something in my room, and I'm hearing I've got a silver machine. So, again, if you're a biker, that might, you might also listen to... Is it Hawkwind that did that one? I should know, because I've bloody seen them live, but... yeah, I've got a silver machine. This could otherwise be that you are watching me on a silver machine, a silver laptop, like a MacBook or something like that, or you've just bought a car that's like silver, or a bike, or something about a silver machine. I'm seeing an L plate, but it's like on the vehicle wonky. So for some of you, even if you're not like a learner driver or something like that, your plates have slipped, or you've got the wrong plates, or no plates, or something like that. But for those of you who are learning to drive, there's something that needs to be shifted ever so slightly. Because the L plate I'm seeing, if this is an L plate the right way up, right, it's over here, and I almost want to turn it like that. So there's something about... It might be turn signals or turning. That might be it. But there's something that needs to shift into a different direction with that anyway, for my learner drivers out there. Good luck, by the way. Yeah, something needs to be shifted or adjusted in that sense. Even for those of you who are undergoing other kinds of learning and tuition, there's something that needs to shift or rotate, or some aspect of your understanding that needs to be just tweaked a little bit, and then you're in the right spot, yeah? And this may be feedback that you've had from someone and you weren't listening to them. But I'm here to tell you now that it was correct, okay? That doesn't mean that you're bad at whatever it is that you're doing. It just means that there are adjustments to be made. And honestly, the entire life experience is an adjustment story, right? We just tweak things and we take another step, and then we tweak something else and we take another step. It's not a slight against you if you got something slightly off last time round or whatever. Particularly if I'm speaking to someone who failed the driving test, it really is just a tweak, and you'll get it. What else, gang? This pile's a little bit slower for messages. Have you had trouble with communication? I'm filming this in a retrograde. I don't know whether I'm uploading it in a retrograde, because it depends on my schedule of customers and other videos, but It may be that that's a Mercury thing, but it may also just be that, like, there's problems there. Things are a bit slower, things are a bit harder to say or get across. I don't know. It's like a slow connection. It's like I've gone from like Wi-Fi to dial-up within the space of one reading. And that's not a slight on you, it's just like an indication of a slower energy, or like a things needing to be taken in at a different pace and dealt with differently. Some of you have a kitten, or like a... No, I think it is a kitten. I was going to say it like another small animal, but I think it is a kitten. You need to be slower in your movements around them because you're startling them, and that's why they're hyperactive. It's not just big kitten energy, which we all know and love. It's actually an overstimulated response. It's like a fear response because you're possibly moving too fast, or you're very sort of loud and swift round them, and they're getting used to being a kitten right now, mama dude. Like, they want to just chill a bit, okay? So slow it down and be very sort of soft around them, and their demeanour will change, and they'll stop. I'm hearing they'll stop wrecking your house. Or at least, like, the mad half hours will turn down a bit. Let me know if that's you, because I love cats. Grew up with 4. It's actually really weird to live without one now, but anyway. Okay, what else? It's weird that we had the dial-up thing, because I'm now getting like a landline disconnection tone, and a voice saying local call. I don't know why local call. But it's something to do with calls and connections and stuff. Now I'm hearing the Elastica song Connection. Is it Connection? Yeah. The one that used to be on Trigger Happy TV back in the day, you know. Great song. What about that spirit? Like, I'm getting all these things, but... Slower methods of communication, that's what the through thread of all of that stuff is. So, this can be taken literally in terms of if you were going to instant message someone, maybe it's better to write them a letter. Or if you were going to do a Zoom meeting, perhaps it's better to meet in person and do some kind of slow activity like being in the park or whatever. But in a less literalistic sense, this is operating more slowly when you're thinking about what to say next. I do feel for pile 2 that there's like something to be communicated here which is tricky, because we've had the slowness thing and the transparencies thing. And I get channeled messages that interlink with other piles and things like that, but it's very rare that all of them kind of follow on within one thing. But the theme for you is slower communication, definitely. There's a word beginning with V. Vibrant or vital or something like that. Right, okay, there's a feeling of lost vitality here. Like, maybe even like lost youth, but there's a sense that things aren't as vibrant, brightly coloured, fulfilling, spontaneous, etc. as they used to be. But what I'm being told is that that's very easily fixable with a few tweaks. It's not like a big picture difference. It's that some of the minutiae and the smaller ingredients of that used to be present are not present now. And they can be put back in small ways. For some of you, you've had a major grief or a loss, and you think that everything about your worldview is less vital as a result. But what I'm being told is that although that loss, deserves recognition, etc., and I am truly sorry if that's you, there is like a way of bringing in some of the smaller stuff that will make your mood on it improve and make you feel like not everything is lost. Yeah, now I'm hearing the song Everything's Not Lost. which, wow, I don't think I've heard that since the 90s, or whenever it was originally out. So yeah, it's a case of bringing in small ingredients around that thing or person that also worked, and doing that, and then the loss is less great, or the feeling of yourself is restored, if that makes sense. I don't think we're getting anything more general than that. Something about a bread bin? As soon as I was about to close it down, I got an image of a bread bin really vividly. Don't know, maybe you're buying one, let me know. Right. We're going to get to the actual tarot, gang, because that felt long. Okay. D is 4, pile 2. D is 4. If they're slowing down their communication, I'd like this reading to be nice and swift so that they can get on with saying whatever it is they want to say. D is 4. Alright, thank you. That's interesting. D is 4, final card. Thank you. Leaping out. See, if you just ask them for a different speed, they're very... Now, this is interesting, because we've had... sorry, I will pick out your word when I'm rambling first. Bear with. We've had this, something like this, and this, in the last set of readings, all in one place, and now you're getting them here. And actually, this was in one of the other things for that. I know it's the same tarot deck, I know things are going to cross over, but I actually filmed these two together, so it's like fresh in my mind, and it's kind of happening again. Some of you are Twin Peaks fans, and you're hearing it is happening again. Anyway, right, so D is 4. What is D for pile 2? Actually, you know what? I had 2 in my hand there and I dropped one, but I could see what one of them was when I dropped it, and I don't want you guys to think that I am being D for disingenuous, so we're going to pick out all together again. Because it could have been either of those 2, actually. Right. Whatever that was, it is that one. Delay. That's interesting when we're getting messages about slow communication, about things being landline instead of mobile broadband, dial-up instead of Wi-Fi, etc. Right, I'm just going to pause and meditate on these for a sec. There'll be a quick cut. Right, pile 2. Sorry about the delay. We will now read D is for delay. I, again, am getting the feeling this is a romantic reading. If you were booted from pile 1, because that was also a love reading, and you came to this one, I'm sorry, I'm going to do it to you again. I think this is a love connection. It just seems to be a theme at the moment, don't know. Maybe like D is just about love stuff. I don't know. But anyway. Try pile 3 if you want something different, or maybe listen to it, hear it out, and apply it to something relational that is not love-based. I know we're not seeing many cups, but I guarantee this is a love situation. Let me describe it to you. There is a connection that is truly important. It might feel soulmatey. It is deeply connected. It is on some kind of other level. Whether it be a best friendship or something that, you know, you could see leading to true long-term union between 2 people. That is where the delay is. It is showing up in the reverse. I don't always take reversals with this deck, but this one feels right for everything else that's here. Now, I feel like in the recent past an offer was made regarding this. I think part of the interruption, because there's all this Pentacles energy, is that somebody was working their ass off and they were kind of juggling you with that world. Or you were juggling them with that world. Take it as you see fit, but I'm going to talk as if it was them juggling you. But they came forward with one of these elements that they were juggling, and they said, hey, how's about it? I'll just focus on you now. And it kind of happened too late, if I'm honest. Or too late for your liking, right? Because the present energy is the heartbreak card. So we've got somebody feeling very raw about the fact that this didn't transpire when you thought it would. That's actually interesting, because pile 1 was about the perception of when relationships and how relationships should be happening versus the reality of what's going on for both people. And where in pile 1 there was like a sense of entitlement around what should be happening and when, in this pile there's like more of a sense of this was so wonderful, how could you not prioritise it? I am now heartbroken. But kind of what's being missed here is that the offer is still there. It's not like it's never going to happen in the future. Quite the contrary, spoilers. But I think it's rubbed you up so much the wrong way that you were being juggled with something, which I think is more than likely professional, that you are now in a state where you can't take on anybody. You don't want to accept this person, you don't want to trust them, because if something this pure, something this beautiful, something this connected can't be like the major factor in this person's perception of the world, you're like, well, I don't fucking want it then. If you can't put me up by you where I belong, if you can't see that this is a little bit more important than your day-to-day work life or your cash or, dare I say, other connections, then fuck you. And that's heartbreaking, because it shows that we don't see eye to eye, right? Or you would think. So from the perspective of this person in the middle who's feeling very heartbroken about this and who is like, this is a sign that you don't truly love me, you can't prioritise me. Something funny is about to happen, which is that, you know, this person, or you, I feel, for most of you, you're going to be looking in a very different direction. You're going to be going on your journey, going about your rest of your life kind of thing. Having said, I am heartbroken, no, I will not take your offer, or just having left them hanging. Maybe there's ghosting involved in here, or at least a lack of a response, a delay, if you like. But the delay stops in the line between these two cards, because while this middle person goes off and does their thing, they hit the card which in this particular deck is referred to as lightning. It's like lightning is going to strike the situation, it's going to strike the tree, it's going to affect the person no matter what they do. So it's kind of... There's been a delay, but if you are this person and you are feeling heartbroken and you are feeling let down by not being prioritised when something so beautiful was on offer, or seemed to be at one point, and there was a really lovely connection, I think that you don't know what's about to hit you. I think that this is going to come back into your life with, you know, the speed of an oncoming train. And I'm not sure how you'll feel about that, if I'm completely honest, because you're still in this mindset of like, well, if you couldn't do it then, fuck you now. But I don't think that the delay that's happened thus far, or any ghosting or lack of contact or lack of response or even lack of sufficient response from you to them talking about, you know, their offer, I don't think it's going to put them off. I really don't. I think what you're not seeing is that they did recognise this for what it was, and for whatever reason, which I would advise to discuss with them properly when you can. It's not that they didn't think it was a priority, it's that they had to prioritise something else. And that their sort of making up for that was to come to you and say, hey, I'm ready to drop the juggling act now. To which you sort of ran flailing into the woods crying, because that's not like shade on you, because I've reacted the same way in similar situations, but it was like, how dare you kind of thing, alas alack. And this person's just stood there with their offer like, bro. But this is me starting it, bro, where are you going? So yeah, they're going to come in. They're going to hit you like a ton of bricks. I don't think you're ready for it. I don't think you're looking at it. I think your eye is on much more creative and dreamy things. Possibly even on like occult pursuits because of some of the stuff that's in that card. And they're kind of Not the outcome energy, because I really think the outcome energy is the end of the delay and the lightning striking both of your lives again in some synchronicitous and glorious fashion. But the underlying energy is one of the Six of Pentacles, which is an equilibrium of giving and receiving. So what I can tell you for sure is that when this does come back in a very swift fashion, it will come back in the way that this person is not only willing to say, hey, I've stopped juggling everything now, how about it? But also, I see where you're at and I'm willing to give as much as you give, and I want you to give equally to me, and I want it to be this, this very Libran energy of the balance of the scales. It's almost as if in this lightning hitting, it's kind of burning away everything that happened over here. Not in the sense that the connection is broken, but in the sense that this person's delay and then your delay in responding to them because you were really hurt by it, it's all going to just be like set on fire. And there's a lot of like passionate energy in this card as well. So it could be that it kind of dissolves into this this moment where you guys reconcile or at least discuss the future in some kind of a way, and it all becomes very equal again. And this turns into the upright, because it is a card that is about not just best friends, not just soulmates, not just people working together in a really groovy way, but also equilibrium on an emotional level. And I do feel that'll happen for you. So I guess my advice is like, okay, you've got this heartbreak energy. Don't over nurture it. Turn the radio head off. Get back out there into living your life. Not get back out there, but resume everything else that you were doing, with the knowledge deep down that probably this is meant for you, and as such it's going to come back in, because it's the most cliched and colloquial phrase I can come up with, but what's for you won't go by you, If you are heartbroken because you truly believe that this was a fated connection of some kind, even just a friendship, then within that logic of it being fated, you can't miss it, right? Because it's fate. You can't just like slip up and, oops, I dropped my soulmate, I'm on a different timeline now because they fucked up. If somebody is meant for you, they are meant for you and they will return. And actually I can personally attest to that. So be ready for lightning to strike. And by be ready, I don't mean put all your focus on this, because I think that'll drag you further into this heartbreak energy. But perhaps just, spread your focus out onto the other things you enjoy, onto your finances as well, because Pentacles are showing up twice. And, before you know it, I think this is going to take itself right back round into this energy that you experienced before you were ever hurt by it, before there was a delay, before there was lack of prioritising and or ghosting. You're just going to get back into the swing of it really quickly. And I am here to deliver that information, because I think if I didn't, you would stay in heartbreak and they would be stood at the edge of the woods still going, bro, but I was trying to... Oh, fuck. So, if you want more detail, say, for instance, a private relationship reading that is specific to you and your circumstances and goes into a heck of a lot more detail than 5 cards, we're talking up to 30 odd with my private readings, then please do check out the Etsy link down below. If you found this useful and you don't want to purchase yet, but you want to just say, like, hey, I see you, I know that you do this for a living and I want to, buy you some bread, please do click on the donate button next to that and toss me in 50p. And if you enjoyed it and you can't do either of those things, or you don't wanna, that's absolutely grand, but please like, subscribe, ding the dong, thank you kindly. Pass this series on to whichever friends you think it might be fun to have a alphabetized lucky dip psychic reading with, and see what they get. You might get some of the same words, some different words. If you want to contribute to the words, comment down below, no place names or names. And yeah, just look forward to this lightning strike moment. I think Potentially it could be very romantic and it could hit really hard and very suddenly if this is a romantic connection. But if it's a friendship or anything like that, just be reassured that they will be back in your life. The delay is almost over. Okay? Take care. Pile 3. Hi, how are you doing? Okay, the first channeled message. This is going to be a really niche reference for some of you. But if you're familiar with Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and specifically the guy with the stringy hair in the bit with the car, where they sort of take it off and do the Star Wars thing. But before that, where he says to, I think it's Ferris, it might be Cameron, but he goes, what country do you think this is, right? Imagine that voice, that guy's exact voice. I can't remember the name of the actor, but he's brilliant. But instead of that, he's saying, hey man, do you... Sorry, oh my God, I can't even deliver this line, it's so like... He said, man, D is for douche canoe, but in that guy's voice. All of which is to say, I think if you're picking pile 3 and you've selected D as your alphabetized reading, there is some douche canoe behaviour, but you're taking it in an extremely laid back and quite humorous way, and you're giving me the vibe of that guy from Ferris Bueller. If that means nothing to you, that's fine, but D is for douche canoe anyway. I don't know. I've been told to relay it, and I just took a toilet break and it was making me laugh on the way back, to the point where I was embarrassing myself in front of the neighbours. So, anyway, right, let's go, shall we? Ghost train. Have you been to a theme park recently, or you're going, or something like that? But there's something to do with dark rides, ghost trains. D is for dark ride. I should have put that. You know what? Remind me in the comments if I don't like confirm in my comment timestamp bit that I've added D is for dark ride, because I'm going to add that because that'd be a really good reading. Sorry, I'm a bit of a theme park nerd, which is ironic to say I can't go on most of the rides, but anyway. Yeah, ghost trains, dark rides, there's something with that. What is it? Come on. Right, alright. So this D is for dark ride thing, yes, I'm going to add that, but also there's a message about the reason that ghost trains are fun, or dark rides in general, is that you can't see the next thing coming, and a lot of the time you do spend in the dark. Now, if you were to see the mechanism of the ride, it might be fun if you're a nerd like me and you want to know how everything works, but generally speaking, it diminishes that entertaining quality, right? Because you can't have the giant glowing spider jumping out at you, or the character popping up out of nowhere, or whatever it is. If you see it coming, if you can see the tracks ahead of you and see that a spider is suspended above the ride car. Now, the reason this is being relayed to me is that Spirit is wanting to get across that your existence is a little bit like that. You're not allowing them to pop out the giant spider or whatever it is. Spider's probably a bad example because arachnophobia and stuff, but you know, you need to be surprised in order for this to be like the fun ride that it should be. And instead I feel like you're trying to turn all the lights on and see what's next. You're trying to understand where the drops in the track are, or whether you're going to get splashed by water or whatever. And it's like, no, because if you're micromanaging it to that extent, you're going to know everything that happens before you get there, and it's not going to be fun, right? So the first thing to say for my pile threes is, don't try and over-anticipate things to the extent that you no longer enjoy them when they get there, because you sort of saw them coming. Which I understand is a very ironic message coming from somebody who reads tarot and potentially gets, you know, almost too many messages about what's coming up for me, to the point where I'm like, well, I know I'm doing this in 3 years, and I know this person's saying this about me, and I know that, you know, this is when I'll live in this place. Whatever, but my point is that the thing that makes things magical sometimes is the mystery of them. Damn, that was a long route to get to that. I'm so sorry. That was a very strangled metaphor to say, maintain the mystery and you'll have a better time. What else? What else? Cardinal is a thing. Cardinal. It's the word cardinal. All right. Do we mean cardinal the bird, the colour, the character? What is it? They're bollocking me. They're saying, well, that's the point. It's just the word cardinal. It will mean different things for different people. Okay. Sometimes I just want to hone in, but apparently it's just the word cardinal. So for some of you, that's significant in different ways. Also, the astrological modality could be significant, but that was like why I thought of everything else to do with cardinal before astrology when I do astrology, I don't know, but hey ho. Okay, what else? Jean is back again. So for those of you who didn't also pick pile one, this is my ring from my friend Jeannie Weenie, who is an artist and cat lover and wanted to join in today. I say past tense because she is dead, but she's around, you know. I've just lost a bunch of people who don't believe in that, I'm sure, but whatever. This is why I wear the ring. She's here. The ring is feeling very cool to my hand. It's like glowing. Do any of you get that thing where something's glowing, but it's like glowing in touch and not in sight? I feel like this might be my clair... What would it be? It's not claircognizance, it's not clairaudient. I can't think of the word for it, but this might be my pal that picks cards by hovering your hand over the screen, or does things by touch, or can, you know, do psychometry and stuff like that. Because it's like a sensation thing with this ring with Jean. Anyway, does Jean want to say something? No, I'm just here. Okay. You might be an artist, you might be a cat lover, you might be very eccentric with lots of things in Sagittarius and talk for hours and hours on the phone and drive everyone around you mad. These are all things that we loved about Jean, so might apply to you. But yeah, you also might be quite psychic in the realm of touch and you may not realise it, and I am here to tell you that that is the case. That can also go in the negative direction, so if you haven't explored energy modalities or healing or anything like that, but you get physical sensations around somebody that make you uncomfortable, that is a sign that A, you are experiencing extra normal phenomena, and B, that person might not be so great to be around, and you could perhaps minimise your time with them or visualise yourself in a suit of armour made of light before you engage with them in future. Anything else, my dudes? Right, for my females who have jubblies, there's something about a bra strap here. You don't have the wrong size of bra, you have the wrong strap adjustment, or you need different kinds of bra straps, but the same measurement around on your ribs. I know I've lost a bunch of people here, but that's what's coming through. It's something about your bra strap. Or maybe it's like the bra strap for an event you're going to is like it's too long, you need to tighten them in case they fall down. Some people that bothers them, they think it's like trashy looking, so just be aware that everything is tightened up and hoisted to the place it needs to be. I myself could not care if I see a bra strap. I feel it's much like covering the ankles, where I think we're past that now as a society. We need to worry a little bit more about things like sex trafficking and a little bit less about whether our bra straps are showing in public, polite society. But I'm digressing again. What is it about you, Pal 3? I'm really, going off on tangents here. Is that something you enjoy about this channel, or maybe something that you do? Like, where you go off on one and you end up, having a whole rant and your friends are just there, sat looking at you like, where did we even begin with this? Okay, what else? I just had to scratch my head loads. Some of you, be careful of head lice, or if you've got dreadlocks, be careful getting your head close to other people. Or if you have a child who's school age, just be aware that head lice are going round. Buy the prep now. It is absolute hell to go through. My condolences. Yeah, nah, never again. Yeah, it's just that's just the message. Possible head lice. Wonderful. Thanks, Spirit, for such a magical and inspiring perspective. Have you got anything a bit more sparkly? They're making threats. Come on. Anything else? Red lights. So some of you are watching at Christmas. Some of you have just purchased red fairy lights. Or maybe you're visiting, I dare say, Amazon's red light district, because I did mention sex trafficking earlier. This is not the kind of message I really want to relay, Spirit. But there's something to do with red light. For my filmmakers and photographers who I know have been here before and shown up, red lighting might be a good direction to go with a particular scene, or yeah, red light is significant somehow. Also, there's a red light. Oh God, I have to drop in the queue to like purchase from me, because I do traffic light readings. But even beyond that, there's the thing of red light means stop. So is there a situation where you need to stop abruptly and you know it, but you haven't been like surface level consciously admitting to it? This is your cue that like, no, that is a red light, you need to stop now. Or you need to just cool it off a bit, or whatever it is. It's not cool it off, it is stop, they're saying. Stop at once with all of it. So, I can't even remember which reading it was on, but ages ago I got a channeled thing about sugar and sugar addiction, and somebody was like trying to have a bit of sugar, and they were like, well, it's only a bit, it's not like as much as people normally have. And the message was like, no, stop with all of it, stop with sweeteners, everything. And it's a similar thing to that. It's not about sugar and sweeteners, but it's like, no, this is your red light. It's not amber, it's fucking red. Just cut it out, whatever it is, like altogether. Sorry, that sounded... I'm not trying to tell you off here. What else? Bees. I'm hearing Abe Simpson going, I wore a beard of bees with that woman. What about bees? Bee totem, maybe? Maybe. I see what you did there. For fuck's sake. There's something about bees. Maybe some of you are working with Steiner or Steiner schools, or I associate bees with the Hierophant actually, so some of you may have been pulling your own tarot and you've drawn something significant with the Hierophant card, or it's asking to be worked with. I'm also thinking of another long story, another digression, but I was designing a tarot deck at one point, and for one reason or another, health-wise, I stopped. But my Hierophant card was a hand with bees on it, which also happens in Blade Runner 2049, and that movie was made after I drew this card out, and I was really pissy when I saw it. Because I was like, that's my Hierophant card. It's even in the same colours. Anyway, so maybe a bee reference, maybe a tarot reference, or it could be a reference to Blade Runner 2049. You do you. Maybe you've thought of an idea, put it off, sent it back to the sea of creativity, as David Lynch would put it, and somebody else has made your idea in the time that it's taken you to get your shit together. In which case I feel your pain and frustration, but this is a lesson that as soon as you think of these ideas, you need to act on them, yeah? That's certainly what I took from multiple times that this has happened, actually, where I've kind of done something and then abandoned that project for a bit, thinking, oh, I'll come back to it, it'll be fine. And then someone somewhere has created the same thing down to the last detail, and I've been like, oh, for fuck's sake, I didn't send it back to the collective unconscious, I was just busy doing stuff. So this is, if you're in pile 3 and you've been, quote unquote, busy doing stuff, get on it, yeah? That really good idea you had, get to it. That might be what involves the red light. Anything else? No, that's it. We're done. We're done for channels. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of relieved because I went off on such tangents there and took so long to explain myself. With like, congratulations if you're here and, you know, you haven't died. Excuse me. They're taking the piss of me now. You see this Hanged Man? We're not counting that as your first card because I think that's just... Sometimes my spirit team, we're not counting that either. I haven't asked for it yet. Honestly, I'm getting a little bit frustrated in a kind of jokey way. Is that a dynamic that you're going through right now? Because it's a very different energy to previous piles, I'll tell you that. Right. Now, I am ready now for pile 3. D is 4. D is 4. Come on. Thank you. You're not falling off the table. Do you guys work with fairy or like something with that kind of mischievous energy? Because this is like... My own deck is trolling me right now. And I feel like my spirit team is sort of taking the piss a bit. Come on. I shuffled and they told me it was this one anyway. But we're having this as a clarifier. And then we'll see what these are. And then we'll pick your word out. Sorry if I sounded really like, ugh, then. I feel like a Daria character or something, like saying to my own guidance team, like, I'm so sick of your shit. D really is for douche-goo. Anyway. Oh. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? I don't know whether to pick both now. I'm being trolled again. Let's have this top one. And let's put that back. I'm not looking at what it is. Didn't even need to pick it out of the hat because they were already on the table. And I promise you there was no like weird stuff with cutting then. I don't know what this says. D is for dream. Well, that would explain going off on tangents, wouldn't it? Alright, I'm going to sit with your cards for a sec and contemplate, and I'll be back in a jiff. You won't feel the cold. Pile 3. This is the kind of reading I really like to do, because although we've got cards that are very typically like, wands are creativity, coins are money, cups are love, this is not at all a reading about any of those things. This is about your dream life. And I don't mean in the sense of goal setting, I mean your literal dreams. It's interesting that the beginning guidance that we had for the crystals that we picked, they were all sort of linked by dream worlds. Although for this pile particularly, I feel like this is your dreaming and your spiritual mission and all of that stuff are very interlinked. So it may be useful to go back to the crystal section and note any ones that you are particularly drawn to and maybe start working with that stone. Because for you specifically, like, you are the reason that the dream stuff came up. And I'm not just saying that because of the word dream. I'm saying it because these particular cards in this particular deck are all getting at something that we couldn't have come to with anything else, and I love it when that happens. So let's start with your overarching energy, your rainbow above the reading, if you like, which is the 5 of Pentacles. We all know the typical tarot meaning readings. Tarot, come on words, Mercury ret. We all know the typical interpretation. Something has been, leaving you out in the cold. You've been feeling abandoned, cut out of something, maybe even something spiritual or religious because of the Smith-Waite church imagery that we're used to. But I feel with this in particular, it does relate to your dream life. So I think maybe you're a person who used to work with dreams, who used to remember your dreams very well, or who has always wanted to, or always wanted to lucid dream, or something along those, kind of pathways. And this, like, feeling abandoned or feeling pushed out is in the sense of like a betrayal of your own body, that you can't remember your dreams or you can't lucid dream. It's like you're locked out of it for the moment. For some of you, that I'm hearing Joe McCarthy in my head talking about being locked out of magic, and there is a very real, like, excluded from the room feeling in this. But what I can tell you sort of in skipping ahead is that you're not going to be locked out. Well, you're not even presently locked out. It's just that certain things need to be rebalanced in order for that to kick in. So it's not that you're not meant to remember your dreams. It's not that you're not meant to engage with them. In fact, quite the opposite. You are a magical dreamer, as I would call it, or you're very involved in your dream life, whether that's in a Jungian sense or in a, an indigenous practice or whatever it is that you come from. Sorry, I'm just standing up to make sure we're still all on camera because this is really Neptunian energy. Whatever it is that you approach dreams from in terms of your understanding of what's happening there, I feel very much that they're a big part of your path. And I did speak briefly in the beginning about, prophetic dreams and protection and all of that, but I think there's more to it than that with you. I don't think it's like your dream is your brain giving you a heads up exclusively. I think that you could do vision work within dreaming, magical tasks, connecting with whatever it is that you frame your spirituality as, or indeed connecting closely to self using dream imagery in your daily life, because we're not ending, but baselining with the Ace of Wands, which is manifestation into reality. So some of you may be law of attraction, law of assumption people, but more than that, it's taking the not quite real and making it into a real thing. Now, I'm instantly remembering the channeled thing that I got of, if you've had an idea, put it into action, because otherwise it will kind of return to the collective unconscious and bum you out when someone else does it, right? And that is applicable here for stuff that you have dreamed about, that you want to then create. Even if all that means is that you're not writing your dreams down, and you should be. Like, this is a real, without bringing colours and things into it, this is what I call my neon alert for a certain concept. Like, this is, you really do have to start writing them down, okay? You would not have stumbled upon this or upon me if that weren't the case. So coming from recent past energy, we've got a Four of Swords that looks like it might be a Wands card, because there's still a Wands in the middle, right? This is your Ace of Wands reference, doubling up on itself. But you may not have known that in the recent past. The other thing that strikes me about this Four of Swords is that because of the way they interlink at the top and the bottom, it looks like it could be a Five of Swords, it looks like it could be a Six of Swords. So there's this idea of swords which are a very clear thing in a context which is very unclear. And what I read that to be is that you are too confused about your dreams, or specifically about remembering them, to be able to write them down sufficiently to work with them, or the messages that you've been getting from your dream landscape, your dream life, are almost like, it could be this thing, but it could also be that thing, and it could be that thing, and I really don't know. And the missing element to decoding that this is the Four of Swords is actually that Wands part. So it's turning the dreamscape, let's call it that, into creative ideas IRL. IRL is a bit of a loose thing. It depends what your idea of the true reality is. You may be somebody like me who, Avatar style, had really vivid dreams of a place and then woke up into another place, had another life that followed on, and then woke up back here and then woke up back there with continuing narratives. For me, that happened all the way through my teens and ended up in like an art project about dreams and about that process, because I just hadn't come across anything like that anywhere else. And until Avatar came out, probably a decade later, I had no idea, that any other narratives played that way even. I know that's really specific, but I feel the need to include it because for some of you that is true, and you will have things like dream characters that behave like real people and follow on from dream to dream, which I also had, and which I later learned, not learned, but reframed as like guides, helpers, etc. Contacts, if you are magically versed in the extended meanings of that phrase, right? But this has been a time where you felt pushed out of all of this. You felt left out in the cold because it's been too confusing to see, which part of a dream is relevant, which is not. Is this part from my head? Is this part from something else, from spirit, whatever? Have I remembered it right? Was it this thing? Was it that thing? It's all a big jumble. But then the actual meaning of the Four of Swords is very connected with sleep, with rest, right? So part of this as well, alongside the creative energy needing to come in and happen, is that I feel like part of the reason your dreams are fucked is that you're not getting adequate rest. You're not sleeping in a way that's, provides consistent sleep hygiene. This has come up in a recent personal reading, actually. It's like things are going to be discombobulated because of what you do before bed, which means that you might not have a great impression after a dream of what it actually was or meant. So do make sure that you're doing things like going to bed at the same time, relaxing before you go to sleep, turning off all screens, not sleeping with your phone on, certainly not sleeping with Bluetooth strapped to your head, and just sort of having a notebook by your bed so that right away in the morning you can jot things down that might be of importance. This is still crucial, by the way, if you think dreams are just purely a product of the brain having a shit and you see it in an entirely psychological or even just scientific and not psychological framework. It's still important at the moment that you write all of it down, because there are going to be lessons, revelations, ideas that you can carry elsewhere. So in the present, we've got an interesting thing about remembering dreams specifically. This knight, who is incidentally the Knight of Wands, linking in with all this creative energy, he's trying to race into the future. His horse is rearing up and going, wait a second, and his horse is in a grey that is printed in this deck as sort of bluish, which again, Neptunian, watery, dreamlike. So the man is trying to live his daily life. The horse within the man, or the kind of inner self, is trying to remember what the fuck happened in the dream just there. And there's a literal inability to move forward until that remembrance occurs. That's not to say that you won't be able to get out of bed and function if you don't remember your dreams, but it is to say that this feeling of being left out of things will continue if you don't fix up your sleep hygiene, start to write down your dreams, start to intend them to be creative, and then therefore start actually recollecting what it was, so that this horse can go, oh yeah, I remember now, and turn around and move in that direction. You see what I mean? I know that's like an extended metaphor, but I think if you're in this pile, you can think very metaphorically anyway. You might be interested in augury and Jungian analysis and all these lovely juicy things, because you do have a very vivid imaginative life. So the direction that you would be moving in if the horse could remember his dream is the Ten of Pentacles. Yes, it's financial fulfillment, it's legacy, stuff like that. It may speak to compiling things like Book of Shadows, Book of Mirrors, if you're into that stuff, and dreams will help with all of that. But just at a basic level and in relationship to this reading overall, that 10 is the completion of something. It's feeling fulfilled completely within a cycle. It's understanding something when it's come to its absolute fruition. So really what we're talking about with Ten of Pentacles is the word mastery. You can be the dream master. You can know exactly what it was that happened and why without this confusion, and you can have amazing recall. It just takes cultivation. And actually the Pentacles suit leading up to the 10 is all about gradually adding to hard work, right? It's about pacing yourself and putting in different elements until eventually you reach the fulfillment of a project or financial fulfillment. And in the same way, we can look at this 10 and almost think of the 8, where, the guy's building skills, he's developing his mastery. And in your case, that skill building is stuff like your sleep hygiene, your creative relationship to dreaming, and your dream recall through writing them down consistently. Which then leads us to this Ace of Wands, which is this beautiful creative energy that's going to come out of all of this in whatever capacity that sort of flows through your particular life. I suspect for many of you it's of an artistic kind of bent, but you do you, you know, we'll see. The sort of, the clarifier, I guess, was like I was struggling with, okay, so you're confused by your dreams and you can't remember them, but what's the thing between this lack of memory and this 10? And the thing to facilitate all of this, other than what I've suggested, is the 10 of Cups. So this is emotional fulfillment. So there's stuff about your relationships, about your emotional life, maybe even about like a psychotherapeutic process that you're going through that needs more development before this is really going to come into its fullness. And for some of you that may even just directly reflect, I'm too anxious to sleep properly, so I don't dream properly because I'm not emotionally fulfilled. I suspect that whatever it is that this 10 of Cups means to you, whatever action needs to be taken there, is something that you will instantaneously go, oh right, it's because of this thing. It's because I'm missing this, or because I haven't fully processed this trauma, or because there's a lack of love here, or, you know, I'm working on a family but we're not quite there yet, maybe it'll shift then. Whatever it is, you know what cups mean if you're in this pile, because I get the sense this is not your first rodeo, yeah? This is not your first tarot reading, probably. But yeah, when you add that emotional fulfillment to the sleep hygiene stuff, the creativity stuff, writing it all down, having good recall, and getting out of this energy of like, boo-hoo, my own brain, my own subconscious, my own inner life has left me out in the cold, and into this mindset of, no, I'm going to achieve mastery over my dream life, and I'm going to be able to apply it in very applicable, practical, skilled ways to my waking life, if you like, which might be a good movie to watch, by the way. All of that is going to end up in a 10 of Pentacles and an Ace of Wands scenario, and you can't get a better combination for the outcome of a project like this, if you can even call it a project. You know, it's creative and practical fruition of a particular idea. So although I'm not going to sit here and tell you what your dreams are about or anything like that, it is very clear that they are of crucial importance for your development, spiritual development as well, because wands and wands, and that you are like within it's within your grasp to get them back on track and to really work with them and remember them. And if you are interested in reading about lucid dreams, prophetic dreams, prophecy in general, Jungian dream interpretation, all that kind of stuff, please do like search all that stuff up. There's a really good, who do I want to recommend? Clarissa Pinkola Estes, I think I'm pronouncing that right, is amazing for looking at the symbology of like dream worlds, and she has a fantastic audiobook for restful sleep called Theatre of the Imagination, where she analyses various stories in order to sort of lull you to an imaginative state. It's just beautiful. Even the way she speaks will get you off to sleep. It's glorious. There's also a podcast called This Jungian Life, which is very good at looking at dream interpretation from a more psychotherapeutic perspective. And then in terms of lucid dreams, like the world's your oyster, there's so much stuff out there. Just look in any magical community and you can probably get a head start. But I would also recommend the... I want to say it's Blue Fluke, but there's somebody who did like a DeviantArt version of an intro to chaos magic, and that has some interesting lucid stuff in there. So that's, if you can search for those images, I think they'll be floating around on Reddit and stuff, and that's a good place as well. If you would like to know more about your gifts, your purpose, your creative projects, your spiritual next steps, etc., these are all readings available in my shop in a much more extended format than this, and with much more detail and obviously private focus on your particular issues. So the link for that is down below. There's also a PayPal donation link if you want to just toss me some pentacle gratitude for the fact that I've given you a nod towards this today. If you don't want to do either of those things, that's fine, but please like, subscribe, ding the dong, thank you kindly. If you want to share this A to Z format with anybody in your life and see which they pick of the piles and the letters and all of that, please do, and follow along at home. There is a playlist of all this stuff that I've put together as well, so you can be here every time we pull a letter and pick a new pile. If you want to add words from E onwards, it is all open to you, so please do so down in the comments section, and you'll get a heart by your comment if I've put them in the envelope for that letter. Doesn't matter that they're relevant to any video or whatever, just, you know, if you put E is for elephant underneath something, I'll know what you're getting at, right? Providing you're on the channel. But no names or place names, please, because place names take me more political than I'd like in a public forum. And names get into risky energetic territory where we're targeting someone with everybody's focus, okay? Yeah, and I hope you have a really wonderful sleep tonight that's full of dreams that you do remember. If you haven't got a dream notebook, that's your first step. Get one. And take care, pal 3. I'll see you soon.